Beloved children of the Most High, I speak to you not as a man, but as a vessel chosen in this darkest hour. 3 nights past, in the silence that precedes dawn, I was awakened not by earthly sound, but by a voice that shook the very foundations of my soul. Saint Michael the Archangel stood before me, his sword blazing with divine fire, his presence filling my chamber with light that made the sun seem dim. The air itself trembled as he spoke, and his words pierced through the veil of time itself. Leo, servant of the Most High, the measure of iniquity overflows. The saints cry out from heaven's throne. This is the final warning. My children, what I witnessed in that sacred moment will determine whether your household stands or falls in the days ahead. The intercession of the saints has reached its crescendo, and heaven itself trembles at what must come to pass. I saw the throne room of the Almighty, where the prayers of the faithful rise like incense. But I also witnessed something that made my apostolic heart break the growing silence from earth, the diminishing cries for mercy, the spiritual slumber of this generation. You see, beloved, the silence of God is not absence, it is the terrible stillness before divine justice breaks forth like a consuming fire. As Habakkuk 2:20 declares, "The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him." But this silence is not peace, it is the pause before the storm, the held breath before the lightning strikes. Saint Michael's voice thundered through my spirit. The patience of heaven draws to its end. The blood of the innocents cries from the earth, and the cup of wrath is nearly full. I trembled, beloved children, not from fear, but from the weight of divine authority that filled that sacred space. The Prince of the heavenly host does not speak idle words. When Michael warns, nations tremble, and the very foundations of the earth shake. In that vision, I saw the spiritual battlefield of our generation laid bare before my eyes. Principalities and powers marshaling their forces, demons of confusion and rebellion spreading like a plague across the earth. But what grieved my heart most deeply was witnessing the prayers of the faithful growing cold, the intercession of the saints meeting walls of indifference from those they died to save. Saint Michael showed me the scales of divine justice, and beloved, they tip precariously toward judgment. On one side, the accumulated sins of generations, the innocent blood shed, the mockery of sacred things, the rebellion against divine order. On the other side, the intercession of the saints, the prayers of the faithful remnant, the mercy of Christ himself pleading before the Father. Tell them, Saint Michael commanded with urgency that shook my very being, tell them that the door of mercy still stands open, but the hinges grow heavy with time. Tell them that we, the hosts of heaven, stand ready to fight for every soul that cries out in genuine repentance, but we cannot force what the heart refuses to give. The Archangel's sword blazed brighter as he continued. In the days of Noah, the patience of God waited while the ark was being prepared. But when the door was shut, it was shut by the hand of the Almighty himself. So it shall be in this generation. The flood will not be of water, but of confusion, rebellion, and spiritual darkness. Yet the ark still stands, and its door is Christ himself. I wept, my children, as I witnessed the cosmic struggle for souls. Saint Michael revealed to me the countless prayers ascending from earth, mothers pleading for wayward children, fathers crying out for divine protection, faithful souls interceding for a world gone mad. But he also showed me the growing darkness, the spiritual blindness that covers the nations like a thick veil. The saints in heaven, Michael declared, cry out day and night for this generation. Teresa weeps for souls falling into perdition like autumn leaves. Anthony searches tirelessly for the lost, but many refuse to be found. The martyrs plead for mercy, but justice demands satisfaction. Then the Archangel spoke words that burned into my soul like fire. The final warning must be given. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Those who have eyes to see, let them see. For the night comes when no man can work, and the harvest of souls draws to its close. Beloved children, as I stood in that divine presence, I understood the terrible weight of this moment in history. We are not merely living through difficult times, we are witnesses to the final movements of God's plan for humanity. The saints who have gone before us are not silent observers in heaven's glory. They are warriors interceding for your salvation, advocates pleading your cause before the Ancient of Days. But their intercession has reached a critical threshold, a point where divine justice and divine mercy meet at the crossroads of eternity. Saint Michael made this clear. The time of easy grace is ending. The hour approaches when every soul must choose, will they stand with heaven or fall with the world? As the vision began to fade, Saint Michael's final words echoed through my spirit. Tell them that we fight still for every soul, but the battle grows fierce and the time grows short. Let those who call upon the name of the Lord do so with urgency, for the day of salvation may not dawn again for those who sleep through this final warning. My children, I share this vision not to bring fear, but to awaken you to the reality of this sacred hour. The saints are calling, heaven is watching, and your eternal destiny hangs in the balance. The door of the ark remains open, but only for those who recognize the sound of the approaching storm. If the Spirit of God stirs within you as I speak these words, if you feel the presence of Saint Michael standing guard over your soul, if you recognize this as your moment of divine encounter, then type below, Saint Michael, protect us. Let heaven witness that you recognize this hour. Your confession may be the very prayer that tips the scales of divine mercy in your favor. The saints cry out from heaven's throne, Beloved, will you answer their call, or will you sleep through the final warning? The choice is yours. But choose quickly, for Saint Michael himself declares that the hour is later than you think. Beloved children, as Saint Michael's presence faded from my chamber, I found myself trembling, not from fear, but from the weight of divine revelation. But heaven was not finished with its warnings. As I knelt in prayer, seeking understanding of what I had witnessed, another presence filled the sacred space, gentle yet powerful, mystical yet urgent. Saint Teresa of Avila, the great mystic and doctor of the Church, appeared before me with tears streaming down her glorified face. In her hands, she held what appeared to be a crystal castle, her famous interior castle, but this time, beloved, it was cracked, its 7 mansions dim with spiritual neglect. Holy Father, she whispered, her voice carrying the authority of one who had walked the deepest paths of divine union. I must show you what Christ revealed to me in the final ecstasy before my death. Visions I was forbidden to record, prophecies too terrible for that generation to bear, but which must now be proclaimed before it is too late. My children, what Saint Teresa revealed to me in that sacred encounter will either awaken your soul to desperate holiness or leave you among those who perish for lack of knowledge. The great mystic who had experienced the deepest intimacies with Christ, who had been pierced by the seraph's arrow of divine love, now stood before me as a herald of the final hour. In my last mystical rapture, Teresa began, her voice heavy with prophetic burden, Christ showed me the souls of the final generation. I saw them. Leo, millions upon millions, standing at the threshold of the first mansion of the interior castle, content with mediocrity while the bridegroom prepared to close the door forever. The saint's tears fell like precious pearls as she continued. I witnessed souls who called themselves Christian, yet never progressed beyond the outer courtyard of spiritual life. They prayed when convenient, worshipped when comfortable, and served when it cost them nothing. But when the hour of testing came, when the choice between Christ and